Hey, hi everybody. You know, I'm down here in Florida. I'm enjoying some great offshore fishing. I put a lot of hours on my Yamaha 115 4-stroke motor. And what I like to do, even less than 100 hours on the engine, I like to do my own oil change. Now here's the things that you need if you're going to be doing your own oil change. And you can actually do this on a trailer, but you need to get water going through the engine if you have to warm it up. The temperature's been hot and I've just ran the engine, so the oil is still warm and very fluid in the engine. So it's going to be very easily for me to take it out. So what I've got here, this is an oil change kit that comes from Yamaha. So it has everything you need in there. I have an oil extractor. So I'm going to be going in where you actually pour the new oil in, and I'm going to extract the old oil out. Then what I've got here is, this is a torque wrench. It's a simple one. They're not very expensive. That's to take the oil filter off, and then I'm going to be putting the new one on and just hand tightening it. I've got gloves so I don't get my hands oily, and of course paper towels to make sure that I don't make a mess. Okay, let's get started. First thing we have to do is get the cowling off very carefully, not to hit any of the cables or connections. We're going to put it in a safe place right down here. Now it's going to be a simple, it's just taking the oil out. You can see that on the Yamaha 115 it's very easy to get at the oil intake. So this is it here, the dipstick. I'm just going to place that on a piece of paper towel, and you can see that it's got a little bit of color to it. Next I'm going to take the oil extractor, and it comes with a nice long hose, and I'm going to stick it right down and get it right in. It's right to the bottom, and I'm going to start extracting the oil out. You're going to see that oil starting to fill in over here, and it's all going to come out. It just takes a few minutes. Now you can see that we've gotten all of the oil out. That extractor is full right to the top. Now, very important, you can't just discard this in the garbage. I have a gallon container of plastic that I'm actually going to be pouring this in and then taking it to a local garage where they're going to dispose of it properly. Okay, we've extracted the oil. Now what I've done is, just in preparation for getting the filter off, you can see I put some paper towels, and I'm ready to work the torque. There, got it off, so that's spinning properly good. It gets pretty tight on there even though you just hand tighten it. Now this is the only part that can get a little bit messy. You can see that the oil filter is horizontal, so I'm going to try to unscrew it and turn it as it comes off so that we get minimal spillage. It's almost off there. Actually, it's pretty good. You can see there's just a little bit there. This is the old oil filter right here. So what I'm going to do now is just get a paper towel and clean around, just to make sure that everything is clean before I put the new oil filter on. You know, I really appreciate the performance of Yamaha motors, and whenever I change any components like an oil filter, I always try to use ones that are actually provided, manufactured by Yamaha. So what I'm going to do now, just before I put the new oil filter on, I'm going to take my finger and just get a little bit of oil, and I'm going to run it just around the gasket that's there, just to make sure that I get a nice seal. Okay, so I find I don't need to fill the actual filter with oil, because as soon as I run the engine, and I'll be doing that after I do the oil change, I'm sure that the oil filter picks up the oil really quick. Okay, let's get this on. Time to put the new oil filter on. Just make sure that you have it in the proper configuration. Okay, just a few more turns. Just because what'll happen when you start running the motor and it heats up, that will start tightening on its own. My glove is a little bit oily. That ought to do it. Okay, we're ready to put in our oil, and you can see again that I'm using Yamaha oil. What I've done is I've taken a small funnel and I put it so that it makes it a lot easier for me to pour, obviously, the oil in. So you can't rush it. Just got to wait. It's only about a, I'm going to say, 1/2 inch diameter funnel. So So again, this takes maybe 4 or 5 minutes to do the proper amount of oil fill. Then we're going to check the dipstick, and we're going to put the cowling back on the engine, and then we're going to run it to make sure that it's running properly. So there's 1 quart. Time to check just to see what the level's like. I'm going to put in the dipstick and see what she says. And it looks like it's full. So this is good. We don't want to overfill it. You can see that oil is nice and light colored. We'll do 1 more check. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe it down, make sure it's good. And that's back in. Now the only thing that's left to do is to hook up the water to the engine, which is pretty easy to do. And I'm going to crank it and make sure that everything's running right and that oil starts to circulate through the motor. You know, the 115 Yamaha, and I think some of the other Yamahas also, has this really easy way to hook up your water to your engine. You can see it's just, you can put the hose right on it. So I'm just going to tighten that. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to get some oil running through that motor. Oil change done, everything running smoothly. Let's go fishing.